and welcome to Coven Quorum. I'm Anna Marie Tendler. This is an advice column. You submit questions, queries, conundrums, and I give you advice. First things first, I am an expert in nothing. I have no credentials. I am not qualified. I'm just a girl with a useless master's degree, DBT skills, and a lot of therapy experience. People have told me I give good advice. I simply love to weigh in on problems that are not my own. So here we are, Coven Quorum. Let's get started. Allow me to tell you about my favorite Billy Joel song. Random? Yes. Necessary? Also yes. I know what you're assuming. Piano Man. Always a woman to me. Uptown Girl, perhaps. No. It's Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. Stay with me. I love this song because it's 3 songs in one. Billy's showing off. He's showing what he can do, and I'm eating it up. Okay, so first he sets the stage. You're meeting. You're meeting someone for dinner. You're meeting Billy for dinner. You're in Little Italy. You're sitting at a table. It's on the sidewalk. It's a warm summer night, and you have not even for an instant considered that a car might jump the curb and smash into you. There's a red and white checkered tablecloth, that is to say, a gingham tablecloth. You're sitting down to a meal. What kind of wine will you order? A bottle of red? A bottle of white? It all depends upon your appetite. Because you're supposed to order different types of wines with different types of food. Some you eat with steak, some you eat with fish. I don't know which because I don't drink wine. Frankly, I don't like the way it tastes. And it gives me a headache. Okay, so we're sitting there with Billy. He has set the scene for us about what is going to take place at dinner. A smooth saxophone solo takes us into the second song, which is, in my head, set at a high school reunion. Don't tell me if publicly he has said what this song is about. I don't care. I want to think what I want to think, and we're at a high school reunion. So during this part of the song, which is the second part of the song, they're reminiscing. They're like, ooh, remember all the things we did? Remember the football games? Remember? And then all of a sudden, someone's like, hey, do you guys remember Brenda and Eddie? And that question takes us into song number 3. Now we have the story of Brenda and Eddie. Brenda and Eddie are prom king and queen, high school sweethearts. I'm sure there was a Brenda and Eddie at your high school. I'm sure there was one at mine, but if there was, I don't remember them. I don't think it was in my grade, and it definitely wasn't me. I couldn't even get a date to the prom. I went to the senior prom twice with 2 different girls because to the boys, I was persona non grata. I'm over it. I'm not mad. Okay, so it was because I was weird. No one wanted to be seen with me because I was weird. It's fine. Look at me now. I'm still weird, only now I live with 3 cats. So Brenda and Eddie decide to get married. Too young. They get an apartment. Great. They get some paintings from Sears. Perfect. They get a waterbed, so every night they're sloshing around like they're in a life raft, lost at sea. Who can think of a better night's sleep? Probably all of us. Then this is the part of the song I don't like, which is when Billy basically pins all the couple's problems on Brenda because she is, quote, much too lazy. I think Brenda just valued her time and knew the importance of rest. She's not about that hustle, and she wants to do what she wants to do, which is watercolor. It doesn't say that in the song. I have decided that her hobby is watercolor. But I also don't want to rain on my own parade because I want to love this song. So let's not think too hard about the particulars of their relationship issues. All I'm saying is I highly doubt it was all Brenda's fault. Things quickly fall apart for the couple. Why? Money gets tight, and they started to fight, but they just didn't count on the tears. They break up, But there's a silver lining for Brenda and Eddie, which is that they part the closest of friends. I'm only now realizing this song has very little tension. But that's okay with me because I don't really like this song for the story so much. It's more about the groovy melodies. When Billy is ready to wrap up the third part of the song, the Brenda and Eddie part of the song, he says, "That's all I heard about Brenda and Eddie. I can't tell you more because I told you already." And that is C plus songwriting at best. But we're far into the song now. Billy is fatigued. He is in the third act of the song. There have been 3 movements. Can we expect more from Billy at this point, realistically speaking? Now it's time to go back to the first part of the song. The sweet melody of a piano takes us back to that street in Little Italy, that gingham tablecloth, which is to say, a white and red checked tablecloth. There are white napkins and a little tea light on the table. We're there, and he says, "Bottle of red, bottle of white, it all depends upon your mood tonight." And my thought is, oh my fucking God, they haven't even ordered wine yet? This is going to be a long dinner. Let's get into our questions, shall we? Our first question comes from Francis from Chicago. I ended up double booking myself with a family vacation and a friend's big event weekend, and I didn't cancel with her until about a month before. We've been friends for 10 years, but this has caused a rift, and I'm afraid we won't shake it. I want to make it up to her, but her responses are very curt to me, and she's been, quote, too busy to get together. We have mutually been flaky with each other over the years, so I didn't think this would be a deal breaker. Should I just wait it out? I miss her. Francis, my girl, my friend. I am sorry to say, this one is on you. But you know that already. Based on how you worded this question, you know that already. You don't need me to tell you that you messed up a little bit. It is important to be mindful of not double booking and to cancel or RSVP to things in a timely manner. Now, I will also say that a month ahead of time does seem to be a decent amount of time to cancel plans. But my hunch is that your friend is hurt that you didn't show up to her event, and perhaps no amount of lead time on the cancellation would have sufficed here. It seems this event was important to her, and perhaps by you double booking, she felt like you weren't taking it seriously or weren't taking the friendship seriously. I don't know. I'm not her. I'm just free associating, which I suppose I shouldn't do. Clearly, she's upset with you. And clearly, you want to make things better. And I really appreciate your bids for repair and peace by asking her to hang out. I think that's the right move, and I'm sorry she isn't open to them. So now I think it is perhaps time to confront this specific issue head on. I would try reaching out to her again and directly acknowledge that you feel she is upset with you over canceling on her event. Tell her you are sorry and that you miss her and that you're reaching out to her because your friendship is important to you and you want to work through it. This signals to her that you understand why she's upset. Because perhaps before just you asking her to hang out, she might be like, Francis won't even acknowledge that she hurt my feelings or she didn't show up. I don't know. That's probably not your friend's voice, and I certainly hope it's not. I think that it's time to acknowledge why you think she's mad at you. So, again, this will signal to her that you understand why she's upset, which hopefully makes her feel seen and like you really understand her anger and aren't just trying to sweep it under the rug. It also gives her the exact reason why you're reaching out. You value her friendship. Really, we should tell our friends more that we value them, even if we're not in an argument. I would probably end this reach out by saying something like, if you're open to talking, I would really like the opportunity to do that. I think this message can be short and sweet. Apologize, acknowledge why she's hurt, tell her you miss her, and then offer a chance for both of you to chat further. Then give her space. The ball is in her court, and she's going to react how she's going to react. You have no control over that. All you can control is the energy that you bring to her. And we hope, of course, that she will see your intentions and will respond favorably. But that, of course, isn't a guarantee. I really, really think mostly people just want their hurt seen and acknowledged without excuses. And usually, if we respond to a person in a way that accounts for their feelings, it neutralizes either all or a lot of the anger. And then you can move on from it a lot faster and a lot smoother. Good luck. Next up, we have Kristen from Minneapolis. How do you manage loneliness and boredom living on your own? All right, living on one's own. I do feel, perhaps, loneliness and boredom are a state of mind. They might be felt when you're alone, but they can just as easily be felt around other people. I have personally felt more lonely and more bored in the presence of certain people than I ever have alone. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Something that really combats boredom and loneliness is a hobby: knitting, painting, reading, drawing, other STEM based activities that I know nothing about, but I'm sure do exist. Then activities like walking, watching movies, chatting with friends, cooking, these can also be helpful. The thing that has worked for me is to cultivate small experiences that you can have alone and really make a thing of it. Like, let me give you an example of my day that I spend alone and that I really enjoy. I'm gonna pretend it's a day I don't work, even though I basically work every day. This is pretend. I wake up, good morning day. I meditate. Then I eat breakfast, but not just any breakfast. I'm not sitting down to a sad bowl of cereal. No, oh no, I'm not. I make myself French toast. Because why shouldn't I have a delicious and fun breakfast when I'm by myself? I enjoy this French toast with my coffee. Then I work on little tasks that I find not fun, but that need to get done: tidying, organizing, perhaps cleaning. I spend some time doing this, and even though it's not the most enjoyable, I am riding high off that French toast, baby. So nothing seems that bad. Plus, when I'm done, I feel productive. Then I indulge in a hobby. Currently, that's woodworking. I do this for a couple of hours. And sometimes, if I'm feeling a little too isolated or I want to connect with friends, I'll text them some photos of the things I'm working on, or I'll just text them about nothing. How'd their day go? What are they up to? Now it's afternoon. I'll read for a little bit, which means I'm actually going to fall asleep. This is my afternoon disco nap. After the nap, I will do one of a few things: FaceTime or phone call with a friend, go for a walk, a little bit of work, even though I said I wasn't going to do work. I do not recommend adding work to the mix. If you are a 9 to 5er, leave the work to the 9 to 5. Also, I zone out a little bit on my phone, probably for like 30 minutes. Then I cook myself dinner. And again, I don't phone it in when it comes to food just because I'm by myself. I really only learned how to cook for myself a couple years ago, and I will say it made a huge difference in my life. I used to loathe cooking, and I still don't love cooking, but I realized knowing how to prepare myself a nice, not fancy, but good, nutritious, delicious meal really added to the enjoyment of my evenings. I really, as a rule, won't cook myself anything that takes longer than 45 minutes to make. If I'm looking up a recipe and it is over 45 minutes, next, because that is time I don't have and time I won't spend. I take that food, I sit outside or I sit in my dining room, and I really enjoy the experience of eating the food that I just made. After dinner, I watch a movie. And I really try to watch it, not like half watch it while scrolling. Do I always succeed at this? No, of course I don't. And guess what? If you're living alone, you don't have to worry about what anyone else wants to watch. You get to watch exactly what you want to watch. This is one of the greatest luxuries that exists. If you're me, you're watching Real Housewives and you are not feeling bad about it. I also have a little sweet treat, which makes my at home cinema experience even more enjoyable. If you want it to feel like even more of an activity, you could set goals and parameters around your viewing. Like, I'm going to watch Paul Thomas Anderson's entire canon, or I'm going to watch famous French and Italian New Wave films, or let me go watch all of the Disney movies from my youth. This is likely the part of the podcast where you realize I watch a lot of movies. I gotta say, I find going out to dinner alone or going to the movie theater alone to be a highly enjoyable experience, and I recommend everyone try it out. Bring a book with you, or just people watch. If you live in a city, go to a museum alone. When you start doing things alone, you will quickly realize how many other people are doing things alone. I feel like we have this fake stigma in our head, like, oh, I don't want to be the sad girl sitting alone at a restaurant. But as soon as you start doing these things, you actually become aware of all of the other people who are doing them too, and somehow when you're with other people, you just don't recognize it, but pay attention, it's happening all around you. If you live alone, make sure that you stay connected to friends. Text them, FaceTime them, keep those relationships active. I think the real key to leaving behind loneliness and boredom is learning how to really and truly be content with yourself. Being able to sit with yourself and your thoughts alone. This might be overwhelming at first because you don't have any distractions. But if you let yourself feel what's coming up, overwhelm usually passes. Trying not to feel a feeling is a futile act. The feeling isn't going to go away just because it's unpleasant. By filling your time with things, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to feel less bored or less lonely. You're better off acknowledging that you feel bored and that you feel lonely without running from it. Just say, hi, loneliness. Hi, boredom. I see that you're here. Once you acknowledge these feelings, redirect your energy into something that is enjoyable for you to do alone. You might even find that after time, you really, really come to value, enjoy, and even cherish your time alone. Last up, we have Sarah from Late Stage Capitalism. I'm a school counselor struggling in my career because I know my job matters for my students and I want to do right by them, but I am also fundamentally against working and protect my work life balance with my life, which then makes me feel guilty. My question is WTF? I have to be honest. I mostly picked this question because I could not turn a blind eye to the triumphant declaration, quote, I am fundamentally against working. Sarah, good for you for saying what we all wish we could. It sounds to me like your work, your students aren't suffering because you keep a work life balance. It's really nice to hear that you find meaning in your work and you see how what you do is helping people, and truly how brave to be working when you are fundamentally against work. What I'm gathering from your question is that this is about your own feelings of guilt, not any issues with the kids or the actual job. So allow me to say, I don't think it's a problem at all that you protect your work life balance with your life. Girl, you're a school counselor. You're underpaid, underappreciated, and overworked. Do not feel guilty for holding a boundary with your time outside of work. My dad was a school psychologist in a public elementary school, and I remember him having to write testing reports on the weekends. So I have a bit of a sense of what you're dealing with. But don't worry, Even if I had no idea what you were talking about, I would still try to give you advice. You should, of course, keep doing your very best during work hours. Be there for the kids then. If you need to do some work outside school to, keep your job, then I guess, Unfortch, you gotta do that. But I would continue to protect your time and don't feel bad about it. You need time for yourself to step away from work so that you can show up as your best, most rested self for work. You deserve that. The kids deserve that. And that is all I have to say about that. Ooh, I guess you could say that's all I heard about Brenda and Eddie. Can't tell you more because I told you already. Good luck. It's time for no. Sophia asks, advice from women in the art world? No, unfortunately, it's very hard out there. Sydney asks, is heartbreak a necessity for living a creative life? No, but it's also inevitable. Saturn Return Divorcee asks, advice for surviving the aftermath of a brutal Saturn return? No. Actually, yes. Don't get married before your Saturn return. One quick thing before you go. Coven Quorum is a totally listener supported podcast. I write it myself, I edit it myself, and I produce it myself. It's actually a lot more work than I thought it would be. If you're interested in supporting Coven Quorum, you can do so by becoming a paid subscriber to my Substack at annamarietendler.substack.com. Thanks. Thank you so much for joining Coven Quorum. Coven Quorum is written, produced, and edited by me, AMT. The intro and outro song is Friend or Foe by Esther Rose. If you would like to submit a question, you will find the link to do so at the About page on my Substack, annamarietendler.substack.com, or in the bio of my Instagram at AnnaMTendler. Until next time, take care.